Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Friday, right? And man, has a lot changed in the last 2 weeks. But
It
before we get
has.
into all that, it's another episode of Millennial with Billy and Mel. What is going on, guys? Hopefully, you're having a good one. Hopefully, you're having
Hi.
a decent Friday, right? This week's been kind of crazy.
Mhm.
But like I said, we're gonna definitely get into that. We're gonna be talking about been going on, right? Globally, but we're also going to talk about what's been going on in our own little world, right?
Mhm.
So, but before we get into all that, guys, Mel, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm good. I this week flew by actually for me too. What's up, Brandon? Definitely a lot of exciting things. It's taken 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks for some of the things that I've been working on to finally make some headway and are finally coming together. So that's exciting. And some just new things happening for my business and some events, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit in the event industry and what we've been seeing some different worlds, I guess, of as well. What about you?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting week so far for me. I forgot didn't put my light up. My
Oh
lighting was
yeah, we
all
gotta
off.
we gotta see
Gotta look professional here, guys. Um, but yeah, I mean, this week, right? Well, we were off 2 weeks basically, right? We
right.
weren't here last week. Last week was really good. Just getting back with family and stuff like that, hanging out and whatnot.
Hmm.
And in a couple of days, it starts the month of my birth. I'll be 35, so I'm really
Big
excited
three
about that.
five.
The big 3-5, right? So, but that coming into that, that's what I've been doing a lot of thinking this last couple of days is just right thinking about where I want the rest of kind of my life to go. So it's been
Hmm.
doing a little bit of planning, but then obviously, with everything that's happened this week, it's just been crazy. So
Yep.
to say the least. But yeah, other than that, I have a saying: I can only control what I can control. Right. So I think that's a good. I think I posted that
I think you
this
did.
this
It's a
week.
good reminder for
It's just
control freaks as well.
it's just a good reminder that if that's the theme of this week is control what you can control, because there's obviously not a lot. There's some things that we can't. So
Yes.
yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, let's get into it. So where do you want to start first? Do you want to start with some of the events that you have going on, or do you want to just kind of talk about the elephant in the room?
Yeah, let's just go right into the elephant in the room because it's funny if you guys are watching for the first time, and usually Billy kind of does like an intro sometimes that we don't usually have a topic until the day before or the day of. And likewise, today we were going to have a guest. And then when, if there's a certain topic for the guest, obviously, so then we didn't. And I said, well, what do you want to talk about? And Billy said, do you want to talk about what's going on in the world today? And I said, well, I kind of tried not to follow some of the news as at that much. I know it sounds horrible to say that if I'm. It's not that I'm not following the news, and I'm definitely interested in wanting to know what's going on in the world. But I have a lot going on in my world, and it's hard sometimes to keep up. It's depressing a little bit, and I think, I said I'm going to make sure that I know a gist, the gist, but sometimes it's easier to stay off the news and social media,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Well, I was the exact opposite. I got caught up in the news, and usually I don't get caught up in the news in that
Yes.
sense. But, um, I mean, this week kind of felt like, and I don't want to compare the two events, I guess, but like feeling wise, it felt like when, because we're both old enough to like remember, like legit remember
Hmm.
9/11,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
We were cognizant of what was going on, and it was just kind of like a gut punch. Like you just didn't know
Right.
what was happening, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so but they have a saying in the investment world that, don't pay attention to the headlines, because what does the news do, right? Regardless of how you feel about news outlets, if you watch any news channel, what is it? 90% negativity,
Mhm.
10% like they show at the end of when the credits are rolling, they'll be like, hey, look at this cat, right? It's a cute little cat. Have a good night type of deal, right?
Mhm.
But so like you, yesterday was hard. It was hard to
Mhm.
not stay in the news, but today was a little bit better. Today was definitely a little bit better to stay, grounded and get back to kind of work, because it definitely threw
Yeah.
me off yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it kind of started earlier this week because my best friend's in the finance world, like you, and I think something just came up with the market, and gas prices, and stock market, like just in the world of finance and all of that. And again, I mean, it's not really my world. I don't have stocks or millions of dollars in that. So hearing Ukraine and Russia going to war and World War III and all of those words, like you said, it's very scary. It absolutely is scary, because we don't know what could happen. We don't know. Obviously, we are so thankful for our troops fighting wars, and protecting us outside of our country, so that it's not here. But I also think that, and like I said, I watched a little bit. I followed it. Like here, I think for the most part, we can hope and pray, and just really, I think just try to be hopeful for people, in Ukraine. There's sometimes it's out of our control, like you said. It's not necessarily our inner circle of influence, like that we can do anything about it. So it's just kind of like we're sitting around watching it, and that's hard for some people when they can't do anything to help people as well. So I think it's pretty scary. And I also think coming out of COVID and the pandemic, I mean, we're just like, here we go. I mean, just hit us, but it's not, I mean, really, honestly, it's hard. When our lives are somewhat unaffected right now. I mean, I think gas prices are going to hit like $6-7 probably here this summer, but
Yeah, you better.
it is
I mean,
depressing. It is.
the Amish are looking pretty good right about now, driving
Oh
their little
God.
buggies around, right? They don't have to worry about gas prices.
Oh
But
my God.
uh,
Well, and I mean, it's interesting because what is the new? It's funny when you say like the news. Like, what is the news? Because technically, I mean, we see things on social media. How much is reality? How much is I don't want to say truth, but I mean, what we're seeing a lot that we look at as news, I feel like today, is stuff that people post on social media, if that makes sense. I mean, there was one video yesterday that went viral of a fighter jet coming into a house, like coming near towards a
yeah, I
house
saw
of
that.
a woman and her baby, and then it got sent to somebody, and then they posted it when they were in Germany or Russia. It was like a brother or sister, I think. And I mean, you just see what I thought was a bomb, some type of bomb or something shooting, and then they're running through the house, and that's really scary. Something that we've never experienced. Some countries like that have experienced that. And people have experienced that. But I just pulled up out front. It was about an hour ago, and I saw two jets going over. And I kind of looked up, and I was like, oh, obviously Fort Indiantown Gap is right here, and they do test runs, and they do that all the time, but you don't really notice it. But then you hear it. And then I saw two more, and it's just kind of creepy at the time when you're seeing all these videos with jets and bombs, and then you see them going over your house, and it's not comparable at all, obviously.
No.
But it's just, it's those videos, like I said, are what. And I don't want to say that we're calling it news, but it's getting information from all over
Yeah,
the world.
I think the traditional sense of news, like you look 40 years ago, everybody got their news from the newspaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you got your news. Like that's how
Mm-hmm.
you found out who won the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at the box score and like all that stuff. And I think news has evolved, because everybody can be a source of information and news by
Mm-hmm.
their cell phone, right? Picking it
Right.
up, filming something, tweeting about something, whatever it is. So I think the best thing to do is to obviously just have as many sources as you can,
Mm-hmm.
because anybody that relies, and like I said, I don't care what news outlet you frequent. If you're just following one source of information, it's like having one source of income, right? If
Right.
you're one way, like that's the only way that you're getting information, you're only going to get the information from that company's viewpoint. So that's why
Right.
it's so important to like kind of like what I do is I have an app that like breaks down like every major news outlet has all these other things and stuff like that. So you can read stories and stuff like that from all different perspectives, and kind of at the end of the day, you gotta trust your own judgment and your logic and be like, okay, what
Sure.
do I see as real? What do I don't see as real? Like, what do I see as important to me and what's unimportant to me?
Right.
Because we live in the information. What is it? The age or whatever? I'm sure Brandon probably knows what that age is, but
Yes.
I mean, so much information is at your fingertips. It's unreal.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's hard to know. I don't want to say like what to believe, what not to believe, but there are biases. There are political,
Of course,
there are,
we're human.
stations and websites and things that are completely one side, politically, and then there's some that are neutral and they're just, stating the facts and that what used to be news, but maybe it was never used to be. But I actually started watching Succession. It's a like HBO Max, I think, is what it's on. And a couple of my friends have watched it, and it's really funny because the family owns TV networks, and there's news, there's like theme parks, and then there's
it's not like a
oh, it's
news
not a
channel.
reality. It's a
Okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's a
Makes
drama.
sense.
It's a drama. And they just recently there was a call, and the one I only have like 3 or 4 episodes left. I mean, it's like 3 seasons, but the president of the United States called, and they were like, talking about a sale of the company, and I mean, we're talking like billions of dollars, obviously. And they control the news. I mean, the president was involved. He sways things. They swayed things for the president in politics, and then he was able to, oversee certain things too. And it was crazy how it was you can see how it's being controlled. Obviously, it's a show,
Yeah.
but just happened to be watching that episode last night. That, yeah.
I think there's some information I don't want to know though. There's probably, there's some
I
things
don't
that
want to
are
know.
probably out there that you're just like, you know what? I'm just better off not knowing and just living my life.
Yeah, being ignorant is bliss, right? Isn't that what they say? I mean, it's like sometimes there's things you just don't really need. Yeah, I'd rather not
Yeah,
know.
like there's like situations in gossip when somebody starts gossiping about somebody else. You're like, you know what? I
Yeah,
don't really need to be a
I don't
part of
want to
this
be
conversation.
involved.
I don't
Yeah.
really need to know that, right? Like,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I could say the same thing just for. I mean, like you said, like people are so quick to give their opinion or advice. So we had a podcast about this,
Right.
but there's so there's a reason that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Mhm.
Right? We're supposed to listen more
I haven't heard
than
that
we
before.
speak. But it's always I heard that from somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but there's a reason for that. And I think, whatever you're doing, you have like whatever you're consuming, like it doesn't just
Right.
even have to be about politics. It could be about whatever. I think you need to like listen twice and speak about it once,
Right.
because
Well, and I think I've started noticing that too, just on a personal side of things. The more that I spend time even thinking about things or reading or watching or, certain people, I mean, it really does start to, it starts to become more of a daily, kind of a thing. And there was a picture or something that was, it was like, I don't know if it was from the TV, but it was like kind of going into the brain, and it was like meshing, like if you're like whatever you were watching. And I was just telling somebody about this the other day because I used to never watch TV at all, and I really just have Netflix. So I just kind of watch movies if I want to relax. I was always working 24/7, and I just started taking some me time and giving myself grace and just relaxing and just watching a show, just an hour here and there, once or twice a week maybe, or just trying to stay in and not go out. And there's a show called Shameless. Have you seen it? There was like 10, 11 seasons of it. So it was pretty old. It's an older one, and I started watching it, and I got into it because of the drama at first, but everything, it just was so messed up, and it's so depressing. So it's a good example, like that show, it's like sort of sick. Like the more you watch it, you kind of want to see like what happened, and wow, it's so messed up. But I get angry sometimes after I watch it, and I get angry at the characters, and that's not good. Like if I'm watching a show and I'm starting to get really annoyed at the character in the show, I was like, I should not be watching this. And it's exactly how it is in real life. It's people that we surround ourselves with, and it starts to really affect us. And, going back to the news, sometimes I want to be informed. Like you said, I want to be informed and stay informed. And, but there's right now in our lives, we have so much other things going on that if we're not in it for our job or if it's not something that we have to necessarily be in, it's okay to not really watch, as much.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think the reason, and it's probably just the same as your friend, is that really the news for me is just like, hey, what's going on in the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the market's going to tell me what's going on, right? Where people are at mentally and stuff like that. So, but
right.
You know what I found interesting yesterday? I was on social media, surprise, right? And I was on Google, and I found out the number one search yesterday. Do you know what it was? I'll give you a hint. It has to deal with the military.
Draft, like a draft or signing up for?
Yeah, it was
really?
the number one search was
wow in the US.
What age could you be drafted, or like
in the US?
What selective service, because that's what it's called, selective services.
Do you think that people were do you think that people, if that had to have been young people, because we all know that it's, technically, isn't it 18? Isn't the draft age, it's always
I think it's 18 to 26.
Okay. I didn't know that there was actually a cap. But then there's a movie. What was the one with Tomorrow? What is it called? Tomorrow World, where anybody could get drafted. It was like, but
well, I believe the Israelis, how they do it, you have to, like, when you come out of like high school, you go right into the military,
right? Yeah,
for 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, so my friend actually from here out of high school went actually over there and went into the military.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Oh, you too, all, Billy. Yeah, but I actually saw. Speaking of that, so that's interesting. I wonder if the Gen Zers are
scared,
are nervous because they haven't really been. Like you said, we went through 9/11 and when we were in. I think I was in 9th grade, maybe. So what were you in? 2 years? Are you 2 grades below me? Maybe.
Yeah. So I was probably in 7th.
Yeah. So but so that's interesting that maybe they haven't experienced something like that. That was Googled, but I did see actually a photo of an older man, and I think it was in Ukraine, and he went to ask to enlist. He had to have been like 70, 80. It's a picture that was on online, and he had a bag, and he had like toothbrush and clothes, and it said that he wanted to enlist for his grandkids or something, to protect them or something. But that's interesting. Yeah. Well,
I found that very interesting yesterday.
Well, obviously, I think that there's things that we have no idea. I mean, I think the more that people do think about it, there's things that, what if it did get to the point where, it did start coming to here, and or people, like you said, the draft, and having it really was something that,
well, since it was the number one search, obviously I clicked into it, right? And so I
mhm.
did find out, because I knew it was 18 to 26, but I also know that it's not like enforced right now, that Congress
Mhm.
would actually have to vote it in,
Oh,
right, and
okay.
stuff
It
like
would
that.
take,
So it wouldn't
I
just be
see.
like, hey, tomorrow everybody's getting drafted, right? Like
Yeah,
it,
I wouldn't even know if there's something out there that was, in a time of crisis, in a time of war, that, what, none of us even know that.
yeah, yeah. That's, I
Um,
mean, like I said, you don't,
it's good to know.
maybe we learned it, but I don't remember. But also, women aren't eligible for the draft, so there's
Oh,
that too.
that's, I would think that that changed after a while. You would
I
think
know,
that,
you would think, like, because now they allow women to actually be in combat, right, for the most part, I
right.
guess. But
Absolutely.
um, you would think that,
Huh.
yeah. So, like I said, you learn something new every day, and so,
It
but
is
I thought that
interesting.
was very an interesting dynamic going on yesterday. Like I said, I wonder. I wish I could look at the analytics through Google and say, all right, where was the biggest demographic coming from for that question, right?
Right.
Um, so, because it's interesting too, it's like besides the pandemic, right? This is like the first like real other, besides, like I said, the pandemic. This event, this war, if that's what we're calling it, is really the first like major battle that Gen Zers have experienced,
Mhm. Yeah,
right? Like this type
absolutely.
of going on in the world. I mean, like if you look at us, like, we experienced 9/11, we experienced the
Mhm.
Afghan war, and man, there's another war in there. It was a short war. I can't
Well,
remember the
Iraq,
name of
I
it. Gulf
mean,
War, the
yeah,
Gulf War. Um, and all that stuff. And then so it's like, I don't want to say we're used to it, but I think we're a little bit more seasoned when it comes to these types of
right,
events. And so I wonder what's going on in their psyche. I wonder what's
yeah,
kind of, you know what I mean?
right. Oh, yeah, I absolutely. I mean, I think there are definitely things that that we experienced, whether it was, um, just from the outside, from the out, just seeing it, going, hearing about it, or actually a family member, or, friends, experiencing it too. But, um, yeah, I just think that there's stuff. I mean, it's always interesting for me because I think that there's so much stuff that we don't know, going on behind the scenes that we have no
Oh my
idea
God.
about. That, um, there's always, it's not like it sounds like it's so quiet, and again, by the media, and well, it's news slash media, that, it seems like the US is quiet, but that there's strategic things going on
Oh yeah, there's
behind the
meetings
scenes.
upon this is the day, this week, probably for anybody that works in the government, it's just like meeting after meeting after meeting, a meeting about a meeting. I used to
Oh my
love those,
gosh.
right? I used to love going to a meeting about a meeting we're going to have in a week, right? Like we're
Meeting about a
preparing for
meeting.
that meeting. It's like, oh
Yes.
my God, what are we doing, guys? Like, but yeah, it's like I said, like when I know, on a funny note, when I saw because you came up with the title, what in the world?
Mhm.
I immediately
Uh,
thought of, and this is gonna date me. Where in the world is Carmen San
oh, I did.
Diego?
Where where in the world is Carmen
There
Sandiego?
used to be a
I had a
game
video
show,
game.
right?
I had the video game. It was on the computer. I still lived in Baltimore, so that had to have been 98 to 99. And I remember I was obsessed with it. It was a computer game. And I love that. I think it was still back when you had to, like, yeah, it was a CD, obviously.
Oh yeah,
Um,
CD, jeez.
and I just remember, I don't like trying to remember what it was about. But yes, I just thought, like, what in the world?
Yeah, yep, yeah. I'm trying to remember. Did she have like a red
Yes, it was a
jacket on, red
hat.
hat?
It was
Yeah,
a hat too. I don't remember. It was like a safari looking hat, but yes,
yeah,
I
yeah. That I just thought
Um,
about that when
and,
we're
speaking of the world, I don't know if you've heard of anything, not to necessarily change the subject, but a lot of people that I've known and or knew somebody that, passed away recently in the last couple weeks. There's been a lot of, and it's not COVID. There's been cancer. There's been a heart attack. There's just been,
well,
aftermath of COVID and being unhealthy. And
I think a lot of that. I did see an article the other day, and I think Megan might have sent it to me. But I did see an article the other day that since a lot of elective surgeries were kind of pushed to the side because of COVID, that you're seeing a higher spike of everything else happening. So
so basically people.
like if you would have had a surgery for, I don't know, like like an outpatient thing or
Uh-huh.
something along those lines.
During 2020 or
Yeah,
2021.
where it's like, hey, you should probably have this taken care of. Like, let's schedule you for surgery so we can get this taken care of. And a lot of like, I'm assuming like a lot of like physicals and stuff like that
Mhm.
that people were probably normally getting.
Mhm.
It was for at least 2 years, right? So a
That
lot can happen.
that makes a lot of sense actually. So it could have been that they put, yeah, like your mom just said, "Oh, happy belated birthday, Peggy."
Oh
Yeah. It was
yeah.
her birthday. I saw. Happy belated. People put off care. Absolutely. I think that also, maybe, well, and they could have had issues with those surgeries as well. So maybe if it was just that, that they didn't have it taken care of, and or they had some issues after. But some of the people that had COVID, I think, didn't take care of them, or just during COVID, like maybe just didn't take care of themselves or they were unhealthy. But I have been seeing, just a lot of, which is sad. But I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they said that he's probably in his late 50s, but he also mentioned that around January, February, he's noticed as he's gotten older that people, it's like winter depression and just
Yeah,
things
seasonal
at
depression.
this time of year that people are just, not doing a lot of things. They're down and out, and maybe physically they're not doing things that, especially with older people or health conditions. So yeah, but I wasn't sure if you 60 and fine.
Yep.
I love
Yep.
it.
She's the big 6-0, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
be the big 3-5 here in
3-5.
a couple of days.
So
So
it's funny. So we're the same age as me and you, difference of our parents, because, or your mom. Me and my mom are the same. She'll be I'm 37 this year, and she'll be 62.
oh wow.
So we're the same.
The same
Um,
distance.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say? Yes,
Yeah.
they had us at the same age, I guess. But yeah, 2
Yeah.
years difference. That's interesting. Well, but as far as other things, what in the world? I've been talking about some things with people in my industry and the events. In just that, I think I might have mentioned it on the last podcast or two that we had, that we were seeing some changes. But I started really talking about it with some people, in how we're just not sure if if things will really go back to the same way that they were with events. A lot of them were canceled completely. 2019 was the last year because they didn't have the event in 2020, and then a lot of people were still either nervous or just kind of slow to the take going into 2021. And now that we're here, this is going into the third year of not that they would have it again. I don't know if I was talking to somebody about like Mojo, or just help, volunteering, creativity, mental health, staff. Some of the businesses or some of the places went under or merged. Some of the nonprofit organizations here in Central Pennsylvania merged with the Philadelphia or the Pittsburgh because they didn't have enough staff. So there's a lot of things that we're seeing. A guy that is from this Wilkes-Barre area that I worked on some events that he's going to, that we're going to work together on. he got into touring pre-COVID, 2016, 17, 18. He had some buddies in bands that he had done some tour managing on the side. He had a really successful event business, and he just went off and did some of these tours. And I reached out to him, and I hadn't talked to him for a couple years. And I reached out and I asked if he was still doing that. We talked about events, and he said he's with Snoop Dogg and Dre now with their tour. And actually, it's funny because it was right around the Super Bowl. And I ended up texting, like, "Are you at the Super Bowl? Send some backstage pics if you're there." But he even said that in the music industry, a lot of the artists aren't excited to produce. They've really slowed down. There's just this, I don't know. Again, we don't know if it's just that excitement or that mojo, or people are just. He said it's not just the event industry. He was like, "You're right," because he's in that world. But then in the music and the entertainment, he said it's the same thing. There's artists that are just not really interested or excited about putting out new music. So that could change a lot with the music and entertainment industry, not just events. Oh, tippity tap. Did you tap it?
Sorry.
Billy has a microphone that if he taps it, it goes off. So sometimes he talks to himself.
So sometimes
this whole time I was just talking,
But yeah, it is interesting. It's just interesting how every industry has been forced to change, right? And what in the world? Like, it's just, because right here I live by, and we were talking about this before, offline.
Yep.
We were talking about, rock lidits, and they usually this time of year, I remember in the past, they'll have like 5 or 6 acts in one place, right? Getting prepared for their tours and stuff like that. And like, it's like maybe one every couple months, right? And so I think a lot of people have just said to themselves, like, maybe I need to do life a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think a lot of the artists went online. So, we've heard of OnlyFans. And speaking of what in the world and how things had to change, it was pretty much for girls who couldn't perform certain acts at clubs called gentlemen's clubs, and they went on to OnlyFans and they were doing these online, and then they had subscribers. So if you hear of subscribers and that and OnlyFans, it did start out with that. My friends and I were joking about it, guys and girls, and one of them looked into it, and we were together, and we just clicked on some things, and there are artists, there's cooking shows now. It's a platform that has expanded, not just feet or, fetishes, but yeah, I think that artists, some big rappers and some musicians went on, and what they do is they only debut new music to subscribers. So they actually get paid that way. And, talk about traveling the country and the world when you have a family, or just all that exhaustion and travel and money and staff and mental and physical, that there's a platform now that they can probably not get nearly as much money, but maybe it is.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, instead of
more
more money now, I would think, because if I'm an artist, right, and I don't want to go out and tour, I don't want to spend money on a tour, I don't want to have to hire all these people, I don't want to have to like be on tour, months at a time. Like, yes, I might be not making as much money as a song, but like I've freed up a lot more of my time, and now I can do the things I want to do. But it just like you brought up something interesting. First of all, about the OnlyFans, like, it's funny, like you see all these memes and stuff like that. But I think it's all a meme that some girl was selling her bathwater or something. Like
oh my gosh, there was somebody that was jarring farts or something, right? Too, like, it was like there's some weird stuff, but people
there's
pay.
Some weird people. There's
people
some weird
pay
people
for weird stuff. Look, what the world? What in the world? We could do. You know what we should do? I know this is crazy, but we should do a podcast just on the weirdest OnlyFans pages. Not nothing
Yes.
too
Nothing too raunchy.
nothing too
But
raunchy, but I bet we could find some really cool things because I started following a guy, Daniel Mack. He goes up, he's on TikTok, and he goes up
it
and
sounds so
he's
familiar. Oh,
the
that's the guy
car.
that goes up car guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the, hey, nice car. What do you do? And a lot of these girls will go, oh, I'm on social media. I do social media. And then they're like, well, what kind? And they're like, should I say? Can I say it? And like they're telling their friends, and then they're like, just say it, and it's like, oh, I'm on OnlyFans. But these are girls that are getting naked, typically.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it evolved into a platform for, again, like I said, there's some really famous chefs and cooks on there that do live demos and stuff too. But we could do something. We could find some really funny stuff. But they're driving. That's what I'm saying is they're driving Ferrari, Lambo, Bentleys, all these supercars. Because that's where usually he stops. All of these cars that are anywhere from 100,000 above, and they're making that much money on doing that. It's insane.
Yeah. No, it is. You hear people making like 50, 60 grand a day. It's like, what is going on? And then now you got, but what made me think about this was when you were saying, hey, like the artists, what they're doing is they're taking their stuff and they're, playing it for their subscribers, right?
Right.
But there's this whole like NFT stuff that's going on now,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
And it's like it was one thing with cryptocurrency. It was trying to get your head wrapped around all that.
Yep.
But now you have like now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I can understand the value behind that. But now like it's like this whole NFT thing is just and I sound like I'm a 60-year-old man saying like I just don't understand, like I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like
it took me a long time to understand Bitcoin and NFTs, and I actually read up on NFTs and mining them, and then it's because on the flip side, I know somebody that had created them and they were like mined, and then they were available for purchase, and then they were on, and I kind of read through the whole process, so I probably know a little more than most, but it's still interesting because the idea of it making money is that is demand. So like that, if there's 10,000, if there's only 10,000 of these like graphics, let's just say, and then, they sell them, it was $200, but sometimes they're thousands of dollars, right? Compare like when you transfer to the Bitcoin, but it's only if they sell out and there's a demand for all the other ones. Like you know what I mean? That if there's out of 10,000, like 2,000 of them might sell and that's it. And they're sitting there like, you won't make any money. But if they sell out and then they're basically like, I need one of those, I can't get that. Then you can sell it, for maybe thousands of dollars, or what they're doing is millions of dollars. And
that's what I don't understand. Like I understand like the value and like, hey, like this is like it's just like when we were growing up, like baseball cards or I don't know if anybody even remembers this or if you even know what this is, but I used to play with Pogs. Do you remember that?
Oh, I had Pogs.
Oh, okay.
I had the slammers. I had the thick, like sparkly slammers.
Yeah, I
had a lot of Pogs.
I had a Pog maker. It would make Pogs I could like stamp Pogs,
custom
right?
Pogs.
And I can't remember how you played Pogs anymore.
So is Pogs like our version of Pokemon
NFTs?
Cards and Pokemon cards?
Let's do this. We need to create an NFT, but it's Pogs, and we'll kill it. We will kill it. It will make millions of dollars at this thing because all the millennials will be like, I'm down. Give me all the Pogs, right?
Yes. Too bad we didn't say, like, there are so many things, by the way, that I just want to say, every time I'm going to say, what in the world? Why did I not save so many things from my childhood? Like, I just got rid of things.
Because we were too busy being kids and destroying crap.
Well, even when it's because I moved from Baltimore, I was like 13. I was like, I don't want this stuff anymore. I collected holiday Barbies and around the world Barbies, which they're not really worth anything today, but it just would have been nice to have more of them. I saved my favorite ones, but we also couldn't take certain things with us. My mom was like, "You're selling this, we're having a yard sale." We got rid of Beanie Babies. We got rid of, so many different things. And I just wish that I had saved things, even just like certain clothes, my soccer uniforms. Like, I don't have anything anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, I always wished I would have kept my old gaming systems, like my
Mhm.
old like
Nintendo.
PlayStation or Sega or
Yeah.
Nintendo or something like that, because like, I would have loved to keep those things. But like I mean, they're probably in a landfill somewhere right now,
I
right?
I
Or
would love that because when I started just if anybody is watching who's friends with me on Facebook, you would see that I have gone crazy with selling things on Facebook Marketplace, which is one of my favorite stores to buy things. But I started selling some of my nanny's things, and even my mom's, and it's vintage is the 90s, like vintage 80s, 90s.
really,
Yes, like I started looking up stuff that's like antique vintage. You'd think it's 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. There's stuff labeled today that's vintage is from the 90s.
what
It makes me feel really old because technically it is 30, it's 30 years ago into the going into the 80s. And then when I always look at like 2000s. I was like, the 80s is 20 years ago. Well, no, it's almost 40 years ago now. And that is classic vinyl. Like that, like some of the stuff from the 70s is vintage. And it's like,
or when someone or
holy
when
crap,
some
I feel
boom
old. What in the world?
well, what in the world? There's some people that say that we were born in the 1900s, right? Like,
Right.
like, but I want to share something with you. Do you see what I just found?
Oh my gosh.
all all the pogs, people. Like, I had a carrying case just like this.
Okay, your mom did ask if OnlyFans was girl naked people. OMG.
Yeah, yeah.
Comments, by the way.
Not anymore, but
It's not only naked people on OnlyFans. It started out as that, but what we should do is do one episode is going to be the wildest OnlyFans pages that we can find, but we'll have to like go on, or we'll just have to Google it. And then we should do stuff like that, like from our childhood, from
oh my
childhood.
god, yeah.
And we should bring up pictures like that because I think that would be really neat. Like seeing all that stuff just makes me smile. If we like, I had Domino Rally and Sonic, Sega Genesis, Aladdin on Sega Genesis. If you ever
Oh,
played
that
that
was
game, the Aladdin on we need to do a whole podcast on this.
oh my god, I love it. I
Should schedule
love
them out
Aladdin.
today so that people will be excited for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that will give us enough time to like find all the things that we used to like in our
Oh
childhood,
my.
because it's just like that. It's like the Pogs. I'm as soon as you said Aladdin, like I was just like my
Sega.
mind
Oh,
just
I loved it.
yeah. That was I mean, we had a really good childhood, I think, for the
Yep.
most part. You
And
know,
it's funny that we're talking about all this stuff. I mean, obviously we did play the pogs and stuff. I did play outside and like I had like little race cars. I was kind of a tomboy, but I still had Barbies. But even though we're talking about stuff that we did inside, like, computers and video games and stuff, I mean, we obviously were mostly outside. My mom couldn't even get us to come inside. Nightmares of her screaming down the block. Like, that her voice was so loud it could like go the whole street.
well, I mean, kids. I guess the kids these days don't really go out that
No.
far away from the
When
house.
was the last time that you heard a mom screaming for their kid in the
It's
last
dinner or
20
whatever,
years?
No,
Oh my God.
it just doesn't happen anymore. Like, I mean, we wouldn't even be anywhere close to our house. We'd be like over there, like in the woods,
Oh
or
my
like in
God.
the,
We
you
would be
know, like we'd be like 6 miles away from the house.
It is a different world, that's what we're
What in the
talking about.
world?
What in the world? It is what we're talking about. Um, But yeah, I mean, I think certain industries have been, really affected. I think some of them have been, um, some really positive changes, like, that are great. And then some, that have been devastating, obviously, to some people. I mean, we kind of had to, I know I had to, completely refocus on what I was doing, kind of offer different services. And, um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but there are opportunities now, I think, especially with the events. What we're talking about, we're just seeing a lot of people that do want to really get out and do the socializing and do the galas and the outdoor and indoor events. Some of the things that just aren't ever going to happen again because of, like we talked about, there's opportunities for people to come in and maybe take them over, or do different twists on them, or bring them back, or just do completely new stuff. That's what I'm kind of doing. So
Yeah. No, I mean, it, for me, like, it's just been all about getting organized. Like, that's the one thing that I've just noticed is just getting streamlined about everything that I'm doing, because I mean, it, that's just the technology that we have at our fingertips. So,
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest thing, is like understanding, like, you're in a business and you need to use tools that can help you perform better, right? I mean, so that's what I'm doing this weekend. That's what I've been doing, the whole time. So,
Right.
but
Absolutely. And working smarter, not harder.
this is true. This is true. So, but I don't know. I think that's a good segue to end the show today. And what in the world, unless you have something else you'd like to what in the world about.
No,
Um, but anyways, if this is your first time hanging out with us, right? There is a point in the show where we like to wind it down a little bit, right? And we wind it down with a millennial meme of the week.
a millennial meme. Oh, when you got like closer to your microphone, does mine sound better when I get closer as well?
Now yours just gets higher pitched.
Oh well, we don't. That's just me. That's just my. It's usually lower but when I get excited and I'm like the millennial meme. It's not really
did,
what I'm.
did mine get lower?
Yes, absolutely. That's the whole thing. So with millennial meme. So this was actually really funny. I actually saw this because I was Googling some of the events with, with Russia and Ukraine, nothing to be making fun at all. But this is just interesting, where it says types of headaches, and there's a little bit of a migraine in the front, hypertension in the back, stress throughout, and then it says living next to Russia, and it's completely red, the whole head. But I got this,
You could
and we'll
not
post
imagine.
it because it's actually funny. And they have like the soccer jerseys, obviously, but because there's a lot of conflict about the guy that owns the soccer team. But here's what's really interesting, and the reason why I got this was because I'm sure that could be a meme for a husband to put about his wife,
Yes.
living with so and so is like completely red. But what it's saying is that war with Russia and air Ukraine is shit posting memes on Twitter. And it says, in the wake of possible attempts at the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, the former is sharing memes on the micro blogging platform Twitter. Yes, it says it's to highlight some of their concerns. So they're using social media. So our millennial memes are being used. Memes are being used on Twitter, for people to express their feelings about what's going on what in the world.
Yeah, I guess instead of, expressing our feelings through art or something along those lines, right? Very artistic expression. Millennials express their emotions through memes,
It is
right?
true. And I follow, 3 or 4 Instagram accounts that are nothing but memes. And usually they're about drinking or partying or sleeping or work or not wanting to work or guys or just, whatever.
Yeah.
And we just send back and forth in our group, chats and stuff. So
yeah, that I would say 90% of my text messages to my friends are memes.
yes.
I think that's being like under like saying 90.
Yes.
So but also guys, if again, first time watcher, welcome. Something also we like to do the end of the show, because sometimes Mel doesn't get all the stuff out that she needs to, so we need to give her a Mel's moment.
Mels Moment. Okay, we should record that. That's what we should record, because it was so, like, your voice is so deep. It was like, Mels Moment. That, and then just use that segment. Yes. So what I would like to say is that, there are a lot of really, major things happening in the world today, this week, this year, last year, right now. And I think that we've also talked about some things that we're doing to, stay above it, kind of. We've talked about pivoting years ago, but I think that what I would say is, things have taken a really long time in my opinion, things are taking longer to get through, whether it's just personally or professionally, or approvals, or just like random things are just taking a lot longer. And I think that we have to be patient. And I think that patience is one thing that I'm learning better. I go 200 miles an hour, everyone knows, and I just have to slow down sometimes. And there's just things that we've, tried to do, waited on, and it's out of our control, just like a lot of the things in the world. And we just have to wait, and just, let things take their course. Mainly the vultures. I did see a USDA truck go by yesterday. I took a picture, and hopefully this means that the thousands of vultures that they're supposed to be trapping in the Zoo America at the Hershey Park will be starting to happen, so just how many years it's taken, and just months, and letters and emails, and probably Karens, but just hang in there, and focus on the good stuff, and try to just be positive.
That's the best we can do right now, is, like I said at the beginning, control what you can control, right?
Yep.
Your emotions, your attitude, all that other stuff. And if you're feeling really stressed out today, there's only a couple hours left in Friday, so go have a beer, go have a wine.
We're not endorsing
Any
overindulgent
overconsumption?
alcoholic beverages that may result in any type of issues, but we do encourage to have fun,
Yes.
safely.
Drink responsibly.
Yes.
So that's our disclaimer for today.
You have to have a disclaimer. They told us to get drunk and on the Millennial podcast.
Well, I mean, millennials is no thing that we don't drink, right? It's but anyways, guys, we appreciate you jumping on today. And hopefully that what in the world stays in your head today, and maybe you'll say it to somebody. But what in the world, right?
In the world.
But
I mean,
but we hope
schedule it. Things coming up soon, exciting.
Yeah.
We should do.
That is true. But hopefully you enjoyed the show. We always enjoy it, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comment section some shows that you would like to hear me and Mel yell about for a little bit. We'd love to get your input on that. But anyways, like I said, we are live every Friday, 2:00. So make sure you set your notifications for that. Go like our page if you haven't done that. We would really appreciate it there. But anyways, like I said, we'll be live next Friday. I think we'll have a guest this time.
So maybe our fun topics will be after that.
Yes. So what? But you know how they know, right? You know how you can find out, right? You can go look at our stories, because Mel will post something about it in the story. So you got to be following to know what we're going to be talking about, right?
Yep.
So, but anyways, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and just relax. have a good time. So anyways, guys, have a good one.